Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 320. I'm Phil Graham, and I've got a question for you. Are you tired of wasting money on Facebook ads? Are you tired of running ads and your ads aren't doing very well or they're not even getting noticed? Well, today I'm going to be teaching you about something that's called Facebook ad Trendjacking. It can help get your ads noticed, and it has done extremely well for us. And I'm super excited to share it with you guys today. You see, the problem is there's so much noise out there, and yes, ads can absolutely help you cut through all that noise and get you in front of the right people, your ideal audience. But in order for that to happen, your ads need to actually get attention. They need to get seen. They need to get noticed, or else that is not going to work. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to use trendjacking to your advantage, which could give you a huge edge over many other advertisers. So this should be a great episode and super tactical and strategic, and we're going to keep it short and sweet and fully actionable for you guys. And real quick, if you guys want to get in touch, if you want to learn how to run ads the right way and you're looking for some one-on-one coaching, or if you actually want somebody to run your ads for you so you can do your thing, you can just go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I would love to connect with you. So before we jump into the content though, I did want to mention something funny that I kind of noticed the other day. So as I'm looking at what's out there and what's going on, I've noticed that so many people that are teaching things or selling things related to how to do something have continually over the years switched from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And they've become just like instant experts at whatever they have switched to. And it's pretty crazy. Here's a plot twist. They're not an expert on any of this stuff. But if you go back, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years or more, and you look at what people were talking about, not just now, but back then, you'll notice that some of these people that are teaching things or selling you things used to be in on agencies and teaching how to run an agency. And then they switched to how to run courses. And then they switched from that to drop shipping because that was like the hot thing at the moment. And then from that to influencers. And then they became experts on crypto and they were talking all about that and selling something to do with that. And then from there, they went to NFTs. And then during the pandemic, they became experts on pandemic and immunology and medicine stuff, and then political experts. And then they were maybe experts on the Fed and interest rates, and then war. And then now maybe they're an AI expert. Well, again, I'll tell you what, they're not experts on any of this stuff. And I'm not talking about people that have an opinion or talk about these things. I'm talking about what people are selling or teaching or spending most of their time focusing on. If you go back and look, so many people have just jumped from one thing to the next, to the next. That's not who you want to learn from, my friends. I've been doing this podcast for over 6.5 years, and you can go all the way back 6+ years ago, back to even episode number 1, and listen to every episode. And it was always focused on Facebook ads, marketing, and growing a business. And yes, I love AI, and I'm going to teach you some stuff about AI in upcoming episodes, but it's all related to ads, marketing, and growing a business. It's not like jumping to something completely different. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was so funny. Be very careful who you listen to. Go back and see what they were talking about 2-3 years ago and what they were doing, because there's a good chance they're not really an expert about what they're talking about today. All right, let's jump right into the content, my friends. What is trendjacking? It's so powerful. I love it, and I'm excited to share it with you. It's the ability to leverage either current events or trends or certain hashtags or news. So leverage any of those things in order to get attention and promote a product or a service or your brand in general, or even just your ideas. So, what this really means is creating Facebook and Instagram ads around these certain trends, using those as hooks, and then connecting those to the rest of your ad copy and whatever your main content is about. It can work amazingly well. And if you do it right, it can help you to stand out. So I'm going to teach you how we do it and how I recommend you guys jump into it because it's so powerful. And I want to start with what to hijack. What trends do you hijack? How do you find trends to hijack? And there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I'm going to share with you some of my favorite ways. And then we're going to talk about how to do it. And then at the end, I'll give you guys a couple of different examples. So in terms of what to trend jack, it's fun because if you're creative, you can always find something about anything that's in the news or current events that you could apply to what you're talking about. Sometimes you got to be creative to do it, but there's always a way. So it could be related to something like TV or Netflix, something in the music world or fashion or sports or politics or pop culture or any of those types of things. Anything that's like current in the news, events, or trends that happen to do with any of those things, even if your business has nothing to do with it, you can still use these things to your advantage to get attention. Now, you've got to do it in the right way. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but if you do it in the wrong way, it's just going to be a waste. But if you do it correctly, it can be extremely powerful. So where do I go to find these things? Well, one of my favorite places to go is Google, and I type in a search and I choose Google News. I don't just do a regular Google search, I do the news search. So I type in my search and then I hit the news button and it gives me some different options of what's trending in the news today for whatever topic I'm searching. So you could start off with your general industry, for example, or maybe a certain topic related to your industry or topic that your audience or clients or customers care about, and see what's in the news recently when it comes to that. And that's a really good way to find some things to trend jack. Another great way is if you're like a local business, for example, or even if you're not, you could still advertise and target locally to certain states or cities through separate ads. So you can look and see if the area that you're targeting has some kind of local news or event or something going on. And that would be a great thing to use in your ad. Anything that's related to your industry, of course, is a no-brainer. So you can search Google for that. And not just Google, but other platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and all these other places. You can monitor hashtags, especially ones that are more closely related to what you do, and you can see what's going on. We even set like Google alerts on certain keywords and things in industries, and it will alert us when things are trending. And then there's also the good old, regular what's going on in the news nationally or internationally. And then memes. You can use memes to your advantage as well. So there's a lot of things that you can trend jack that can be very, very powerful. So let's talk about how to do it. And then I'm going to give you guys some examples so you kind of know how it works and what I mean by trend jacking. So first of all, like I mentioned, you've got to do it right or else you're probably going to fail. So when you're trend jacking, you've got to use something that's going to build a bridge between whatever you're trend jacking and what your content or message is and what your business is. It's got to be authentic. It can't be like opportunistic or clickbaity, or else it's probably just going to backfire. So you got to make sure that you build a bridge between what you're trend jacking and what you're talking about in your ad. You don't want it to be like a bait and switch where you're talking about, you're getting their attention with one thing, but then just ignoring that in the rest of the ad. There's got to be a connection there. So I'm going to give you guys 4 different ways that we typically like to trend jack. One way is through using humor. So you take something that you find that's a trend or in the news, and you can use humor talking about that. And obviously, like, it's going to relate to whatever you sell or whatever you're talking about in your ad. So humor can be a great hook or angle when it comes to trendjacking. Another great one is opinion. So you can find something and then you can give your opinion. You can go deeper than whatever's in the news. Or one of my favorite things is to give more information or context. So it could be something that's happening like nationally or internationally. Maybe it's something on inflation, and you can give your context about how it relates to your certain business or industry or your customer base. And when it makes sense, you'll have a much better chance of getting people's attention. It's really powerful. So humor is one, opinion with context is another. The third one I'm going to share with you is my favorite, and that's education. Oh my gosh, like, you can educate people about things based off of what's trending, and you can really put your spin on it. It's similar to opinion, but it's more focused on the education part. It's super powerful. You can do this even if you don't sell a product or service that teaches people things. You can still educate about different ways that people can feel or look at things as it relates to your product or service. Like, there's always ways to do this. So don't think that you can't do this because you have a certain type of business. Yes, you can. You can always find a way to connect the dots no matter what kind of business you have. And the last way I like to use trendjacking is to offer an alternative. So you talk about whatever's trending, and then you talk about why your way is different and better, or your company, or your way of looking at things or doing things, whatever the case may be. But you're offering an alternative to whatever is trending. So humor, opinion with context, education, and alternatives. Those are the 4 different hooks and angles that we like to use with trendjacking. So lastly, I want to give you guys a couple of examples so you get a better idea of what I mean when it comes to having this make sense with whatever your content is. So here's a few great examples. I don't know if you remember, but last year, probably the biggest trial that happened was Johnny Depp's trial. Like, I think it was like early to mid last year in 2022. And there was so many people that were watching that, and it was just viral all the time, like every day on social media. And there was a really smart dentist, because some people were talking about his teeth and saying some not so great things about his teeth. And there was a really smart dentist that was using that, creating some content and some ads around educating people on what might be the issue with his teeth and how to fix that if that ever happens to you. That was a great example of taking something that was hot, that everybody was talking about, and merging that, bridging that with what that dentist does. That was such a great example. So there's one way to use trendjacking. Another great example is I've got a client in the dementia industry with products and services around dementia. And Bruce Willis is a really big name and somebody that is going through some challenges as it relates to dementia. And people are talking about that all the time. I see news stories all the time. I just saw some today about his daughters posting about him, for Father's Day, his journey and challenges with dementia. So that's something that people talk about a lot. So I'm having my client create a video about Bruce Willis and dementia, and then educating people more about that. And we're doing it in a way that's not opportunistic. It's more about helping people and educating. And that's like a perfect bridge between the two. Another great example can be using somebody like, let's say, Taylor Swift in the music space to your advantage. There's people that have created ads that have used maybe some lyrics that she has out in a current hit song of hers, or maybe something that she's recently said or done. And they connected that to how they feel about certain things or how their business does things. And it has really made a difference. Somebody did that. She had some lyrics about being different and being uniquely you. And there was an e-commerce shop that actually started with that and talked about how they loved it. And that's why they actually have their business, because they have apparel that helps people stand out and be different. And those two, you see how it makes sense? All these examples, we're not just using the trendjacking or the news to get attention and then talking about something completely different. We're connecting the two together with a product or service or our feeling or angle on things, or teaching more about it as it relates to the product or service. So it's got to make sense, but when it does, it's super powerful. Another great example, I've given this in the past, was when Russell Wilson, who plays football, was playing in Seattle. There was a local client who was in medicine who used Russell Wilson as a great example, because what we did was Wilson was known to come in early and stay late and always study film and do these like 25-page game plans that a lot of times quarterbacks normally don't even do. It's like the offensive coordinators that do it, but he was always known to be extra prepared. And so this doctor, this dentist, actually used that in an ad and talked about how as a dentist, he's always on top of new technology as it relates to dentistry and treating his patients. And seeing Russell Wilson do that in football kind of inspired him, and he saw the connection. And we also used some humor in there and stuff like that. But you see how those blend? We're not just getting attention, but we're using that with our ad copy to where it makes sense. We're bridging it. And in that dentist example, we also targeted people that liked Russell Wilson or the Seahawks. So it really made sense. So the main thing is you've got to pick things that are in the news or trending or people are talking about right now. That's number one. And then you must have a bridge between what that is and what you're saying in your ad. That's number two. And then number three, please know that you can use almost anything. There's going to be so many people that think that they can't use TV stuff or fashion stuff or sports or whatever because of a certain type of business they have. You can use almost anything if you're creative enough. The key is going to be being creative and finding bridges between what you're trendjacking and what you're talking about in an ad to where it makes sense and it's appealing to your audience. When you do that, it can just produce amazing things for you. Like, we love it. I highly recommend you guys try this out. So my friends, episode 320 is in the books, Facebook ad trendjacking. I hope you loved it. I've got some great stuff on the way for you in upcoming episodes. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if you want to get in touch, the website is philgrahamdigital.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital. And I will talk to you on next week's episode. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.